Hey, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'd like to talk about one of the most fun builds in Lost Ark, and that is the gravity training build for Destroyer. I get asked this question quite often during my live streams because I play two gravity training destroyers, so people see me playing and I don't have any reference for my build, and I have to actually show every single little bit of thing in detail every time I get asked. So I wanted to upload this video, teach you all about the build, how to play it. The whole idea of a gravity training build is one where the faster you fill up your gauge and enter hypergravity, the better it is. The more often you access hypergravity during fights and also at proper times, not when boss is disappearing for 1 minute, the more damage you're gonna do. So we're gonna obviously use our blue skills, same as with the Rage Hammer build, to generate gauge. However, because of our gravity training class engraving, we're gonna generate more, and also we have one tripod on one of our skills that helps us generate more gauge. So we're generating a full hypergravity bar in a 4 purple skill rotation. There is no way currently to generate a full hypergravity bar with 3 purple skills only. No matter what kind of tripods you use, like for example the gravity charge tripod on a full swing, it doesn't matter. No matter how much specialization you have, hypergravity is a timed session. It's not like on the Shadow Hunter where with more specialization you get to extend the time that you stay in this phase. For Destroyer, it's always the same time no matter the amount of specialization that you have or engravings. So the more attack speed you have, the more bonks you get to do in that limited amount of time. With Spirit Absorption, it starts at 18 bonks, and with a maximum attack speed, you can get up to 23 bonks per gravity training phase. First of all, let's talk about combat stats, engravings, and sets of gear, because these go hand in hand like butter on toast. You need to understand them separately but also together why they make sense. Combat stats, we use specialization as a main stat and with crit as a secondary. In terms of engravings, you have grudge and gravity training. These two are the two core engravings that obviously you're gonna want to play gravity training at level 3 because it gives you a really good value, and obviously you're gonna want to play grudge at level 3 because it gives you a really good value DPS wise. The other engravings 3, 4, and 5 are going to be Spirit Absorption, Master Brawler, and for me, Curse Doll. You can easily replace Curse Doll with Barricade to get almost identical results DPS wise, but just get rid of that negative from Curse Doll, which is the healing reduction from potions. To me, it made sense to go for Curse Doll simply because at the time when I created the build, these were the best quality accessories I found at the most reasonable prices. As a gravity training destroyer, you really don't feel at all the negative from Curse Doll. To be fair with you, I'm using 30 or 45% potions for any content that I do, including Belshazzar, gates 1 to 4. If you just want to try out the build and not spend that much gold on it or that many feons, you can also go for a 4 engraving setup, which can be achieved with legendary grade accessories. And in that case, I would go for Grudge, Gravity Training, Master Brawler, and then the 4th would be Spirit Absorption. I would actually give up Curse Doll or Barricade just for having Spirit Absorption. Not only it actually gives you more damage on a Gravity Training Destroyer, but also it makes the build be as fun as I was mentioning at the beginning of the video. If you want to go for a 4+1 or a 4+2, you can, in that case, start combining. You would go for Grudge, Gravity Training, Master Brawler, and then the 4th would be either Barricade with a Spirit Absorption level 2 or Spirit Absorption level 3 with a Barricade level 2, for example. That would be a great place to start if you're stone and if the rest of your accessories allows you to. Check the marketplace, and based on your region, you're going to find the best engraving setup for you. But these are the ones that sort of go the best. Why don't we take Keen Blunt here? Keen Blunt, which is generally speaking an S tier engraving. Because of the set of gear that we use, we're playing Earth's Entropy for this particular example, and we would have to have such a high crit chance, like 90% plus, in order for Keen Blunt to actually be more efficient than, let's say, a Barricade or a Curse Doll. So that is the reason why we don't take it here. And our crit rate is actually not that high. And speaking about sets of gear, Earth's Entropy is not the only set that you can play on a Gravity Training Destroyer. The Salvation set brings very similar results to Earth's entropy, and in some cases even better results, simply because even though you don't have the front or back bonuses that Earth's entropy gives you, very jumpy bosses like current endgame content such as Kaliligos or maybe Vikas, for example, even a couple of Belshazzar gates in some instances, you're gonna find yourself bonking from the side or the back very often, and if half of your bonks and half of your hypergravities are used from the side or the back, and the other half you get lucky you stay in front for the whole time, Salvation said the massive damage increase that it brings actually gets you really close to an Earth's entropy class. To an Earth's entropy set, and in case you're using the Salvation, you don't necessarily need to use the Spirit Absorption Engraving, for example. You can go Curse Doll and Barricade, because the Salvation set gives you the 10% extra attack speed boost. Going to the skill section, I would like to tell you what I use, why, which tripods and which rune attached to them. We start with Heavy Crush. This is bread and butter for Destroyer, also for the Rage Hammer build, but for the Gravity Training as well. We do Quick Hit, Law of the Jungle, Aftershock. Quick Hit is just phenomenal. It just makes this just so fast that you can actually turn around, use it, continue moving. It's very important eventually down the road to have the freedom of movement, because you have nice movement speed and attack speed. This goes just really well with that. Law of the Jungle, because we don't have any other better tripod here. And Aftershock, this is so mega value. Precasting it and then waiting for the boss to jump back down to the location is super cool, because you already have a guaranteed bubble here, and you can continue with, like, for example, a Dreadnought, and then you already have 3 and you can use a purple skill. So it's a really mega valuable tripod. I highly advise that you use this. The rune on Heavy Crush is a Galewind rune, but this can also be replaced with whatever, a protection rune, for example, or you can even go for a quick recharge rune if you so wish on this skill. Yeah. I sometimes change this to Purify. For example, if I'm doing a Valtan Inferno run and I need a Purify rune, I'm just going to swap this one on Heavy Crush, because it doesn't matter that much what you use here. Power Strike, I have it only tiered up to 7, because you don't really need more. It actually makes the skill a little bit more annoying if you have the last perk. So I keep it for the first 2 lines. I do Agile Movement and Armor Destruction. This is my party synergy outside of Hypergravity. Before Power Strike, I used, for example, Running Crush, simply because it's a very fast skill that can also give you a shield, or it can give another party synergy for more stagger in case you need it. It also has some damage reduction as you use it, so if you're using it at the right time, and even if the boss lands on you or something explodes underneath you, Running Crash is still going to protect you. So this is what I used to use before. Earth Smasher is also an option, but I prefer Power Strike here. Power Strike with a protection rune. This is a skill that very often you can get it you can get to be paralyzed, like the mini stagger that happens from the boss's claw attack, and it's going to interrupt it. So you have to pay attention how and when you cast it. Dreadnought is my other skill. This is a very commonly used skill for any destroyer. I use it with Tenacity and Toughened Body, and then Violent Hammer. Dreadnought is also a counter. It's a weak point level 2, so it's a fantastic skill overall. The counter part of it is not just the first hit, but also the one that follows. Tenacity, because it grants me push immunity. It's such a fantastic perk. On top of this, pair it with a Toughened Body, which gives you that much damage reduction. I can basically use Dreadnought as the boss is landing. I have a protection rune on it. I basically take no damage, and I'm also not getting knocked down or anything like that. Endure Pain is my 4th blue skill. I have it with the Guaranteed Core, Anti-Gravity, and also Healthy Mentality. Then we get into the purple skills. I use Earth Wave. This is actually a pretty legit skill, also for damage. It does more damage than the full swing, for example, even if it's tiered up to actually swing and hit. So I really enjoy the skill. It's a quick cast. Very nice. A little bit of range also in between you and the boss. So that's pretty cool. I use it with Weak Point, Absolute Strength, and Reckless Blow. Basically everything here is set for more damage of this skill. I just find it really satisfying to use. Now, I don't use Gravity Charge here. I'm going to explain to you in a second why. I have a Rage Rune, by the way. The Rage Rune here makes complete sense, and the Rage Rune in general as a Gravity Training Destroyer to place on your purple skills, because these are the last skills you're going to use before entering a hypergravity phase. So, for example, if I would start building up my bubbles, right, I would use a perfect swing, I would use this, I would use a seismic hammer, I would build more bubbles, right, using blue skills. Now I'm using a purple, now I'm using a blue skills again, and then lastly, this purple skill before actually entering hypergravity. And as you can see, I actually got the rage buff right at the entrance of hypergravity. And as you can imagine, proccing a rage, 16% extra attack speed before entering a hypergravity with the 15% from spirit absorption, with the 10% from a yearning level 2, it caps you on attack speed. The rage buff does not last as long as your hypergravity does. It basically lasts for maybe a little bit more than half of the hypergravity duration, simply because by the time you proc the rage rune upon this skill's use and hit, by the time you press the button to enter hypergravity, maybe you press the hypergravity skill first, etc. So, it's going to take a couple of seconds, and the rage only lasts for 8 seconds. So it lasts you for a bit longer than half of your hypergravity, but it's still really, really mega value. And I have a rage rune not only on Earth Wave, but on Full Swing and Seismic Hammer as well. Actually, we can get to Full Swing right now. So Full Swing, I use Tough Heart, Gravity Charge, and Beast's Eye. This one gives you damage reduction, and as you can see, I keep my Full Swing as a charged skill, even though, again, I don't need to have it as a charged skill because I don't have Supercharge Engraving in this build. It's not because of damage, it's actually because of comfiness of using it. The damage reduction that I get from this particular tripod, there is some of it that I get as I'm charging, and there's a different number that I get while attacking. There is no real value in taking outraged attack, simply because if I would take it, this one removes the charging possibility and it makes it instant, but the spin is full duration. So I don't have any control whether I actually want to hold it and spin and charge for a bit more damage, or I just want to, click it for a quick spin and then be over with it. I use a Rage Rune on Full Swing for the same exact reason why I use a Rage Rune on Earth Wave. Perfect Swing is a massive skill and massively important for a Gravity Training Destroyer as it is for a Rage Hammer Destroyer. I tier it up the same way as you would in a Rage Hammer build. Some players prefer this perk in a Rage Hammer build just so that they can get the cast out of the way faster, which in most cases guarantees the success of hitting with Perfect Swing. For a Gravity Training build where your crit rate is 20% from the set and then you have another 20 from here, that's 40%. Maybe you have another 10 from a class synergy. You're looking at a 50%, 52, 53% crit chance. It's a 50-50 gamble whether you're gonna crit on Perfect Swing and actually do the damage that you're looking for or not. So based on the fact that I'm gambling it anyway in a Gravity Training build and it's not a guaranteed crit, I prefer to choose this perk also. The boss flies away because it takes a bit longer for me. I'm just gonna take the L. I never really use Perfect Swing as the fourth purple skill to get me the full hypergravity bar, because as I was saying, Perfect Swing requires a little bit more planning and you need to be much more careful around it. So because of that, I use it as the first or the second skill in a purple skill rotation to get my bar up. It's never really the last one I use. So that's the reasoning why I Gale win this here. Seismic Hammer, I play Enhanced Strike, Absolute Strength, and Starving Strength. Exactly the same as you would play it in a Rage Hammer build, right? And I have a Rage Rune on it also, because sometimes it just happens that Seismic Hammer is my fourth purple skill, which leads me into a hypergravity. So I would like to at least have the chance for a little bit of attack speed extra if that is the case. So now that you know the skill build, I also want to talk about the gravity charge tripods and explain to you their value. No matter how much specialization you have, specialization which, by the way, increases the amount of gravity gauge that you gain for using a purple skill. No matter how much you have, you're still not going to be able to fill up a bar without one of these tripods, right? One of the gravity charged tripods. You have gravity charged tripods on the Earth Wave, you have it on the Full Swing, you have it on the Perfect Swing here, and you have it on the Seismic Hammer. You're not gonna ruin a perfectly beautiful Seismic Hammer by choosing this tripod here. You're not gonna ruin a Perfect Swing by choosing this tripod here and giving this up. So these two are out of the question. You're gonna use the gravity charge on either Earth Wave or Full Swing. And the choice is based on the amount of specialization that you currently have. Depending on how good of a quality you find on your accessories, that's how much specialization you're going to have. And based off that, you're going to be choosing your gravity charge tripod, which you need one of. So either Full Swing or Earth Wave. Now, Earth Wave at base gives you 9% extra gravity gauge gain per core used. And then at level 5, it gives you 13%. Full Swing at level 1 gives you 10%, so 1% more than the Earth Wave, and at level 5 gives you 15%, so 2% more than the Earth Wave. Now, a bare minimum of specialization to use with a level 5 tripod on Full Swing is 1690. If, for example, you don't want to choose this perk because you want to go here or here, and then you want to choose a level 5 tripod on Earth Wave, then you're going to need 1725 specialization in order to still fill up a hypergravity bar with the use of 4 purple skills, right? So it goes higher and higher. If you want, for example, a level 4 gravity charge tripod, that's all you have. That's all you could find. A level 4 here on Earth Wave, then you all of a sudden need 1742 specialization in order to still fill up a bar with 4 purple skills. Obviously 3 bubbles for each. So that's how it goes. Even if you max out on Spec, for example, you still need one of these tripods. There's no way, no stats right now to help you otherwise. So even if you're maxed out on Spec, you would still need at least a level 1 tripod here. So this 9%, assuming your max Spec, is enough to get you to a full hypergravity bar. However, since you're choosing this tripod anyway and you're wasting, or not wasting, but consuming a full tripod line, there is no point in going so high spec and going through so much trouble and so much cost, and also giving up other combat stats, for example, just to keep this tripod at level 1. I would much rather have this tripod at level 5 and go for 1725 spec, or this tripod at level 5, focus on that, and go for 1690 spec. As for gems, you need your highest damage gem on your hypergravity skill. Then you have damage gem on Seismic Hammer, damage gem on Perfect Swing. Very important to have as high damage gems as possible on these 2 skills. And the rest would be cooldown gems. I have cooldown gem, especially for your blue skills. Cooldown gem on Heavy Crush, Dreadnought, Endure Pain, and Power Strike. I never felt like I needed more than level 7s on these blue skills. However, obviously, if I would upgrade, for example, from a level 7 to a level 10, I most likely would feel a nice difference in the quickness of me being able to use them, generate bubbles, do the purple skills with them. I also have cooldown for Perfect Swing and Seismic Hammer, because believe it or not, in some scenarios when everything goes perfect for you and you use your skills, you go to hypergravity, you bonk away, you exit, some of the skills actually have cooldown and you need to wait like 4 seconds for a Seismic Hammer maybe, or 3 seconds for a Perfect Swing in order to complete another 4 purple skill build, so purple skill rotation. So that's why I use cooldown gems on these 2 as well. This one has, like a lower cooldown naturally, 24 as opposed to 30. And this one also has a lower cooldown naturally, so I don't necessarily feel the need to add cooldown gems to these. They're never, let's say, on cooldown when I actually need them. If I would be to fill up my last 2 slots, I would definitely go for a damage gem on Earth Wave. I actually should look into doing that as soon as possible. Because this is a skill that, as I said throughout the video, does quite a decent amount of damage at the end of the day. So 1 damage gem here, and potentially a cooldown gem also for Earth Wave, or a cooldown gem for Full Swing. this is how I would go for. I wouldn't necessarily go for a damage here, because sometimes, as I told you, I just use it like this just to get my gauge filled up and just enter hypergravity. As for the gameplay, uptime is really important. The more you are in the boss's face, the more you get your cores, you release, you get hypergravity, you bonk away, the better it is. All you have to do is keep bonking. Basically, your worst enemy is being knocked down. Another last thing that I wanted to tell you is that sometimes you have to bonk backwards, like it is, for example, in this video. The boss lands and you actually have to start bonking the other way around, so that eventually, as the boss's hitbox settles in on the ground, you actually get frontal attacks. This is one thing that I do very often, because it's very important to get frontal attacks, and it's something that the bonk sort of moves you out of the boss's hitbox, but towards the front, simply because you're bonking the other way. I wish you lots of fun on your gravity training destroyer, if you're gonna try one, and thank you so much for watching. Until my next video, you can find me here on YouTube, you can find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/SaivoSun, and I wish you a fantastic time in the game. See you really soon.